What's up, everyone? Exceptional Gabe here, back again with another episode of Exceptionally Animated, the show where we highlight fantastic voice actors and animators in the industry, and we chat about their work they've done. And today, we've got the very underrated and amazing Claire Colette. Thank you for joining us.
Awesome. Thanks for that amazing intro. Or should I say exceptional intro?
Yeah, exceptional. Usually, uh, the way I start these out, one of the first questions I ask, is, what was one of your first ever voiceover roles?
Oh man. My memory is a bit fuzzy because I started when I was pretty young and I don't remember a whole lot from that era, but I think the first thing that I ever did was probably like a kindergartner role or something when I was like 4, I want to say, for being Ian. And that was kind of like a background role, so it was just like a bunch of kids yelling and screaming, I think. Yeah.
Yes. And you bring up a good point because being Ian, that was obviously a show based off your father, Ian James Corlett, who is quite possibly the most legendary voice actor in Vancouver.
Yes.
So, when you were learning voice acting, did you basically did he teach you all of your skills when you were getting into voice acting?
Yeah, well, as far as I know, I think I was really interested in what he did for work, and I think as a lot of extroverted young kids do. I like to put on little shows and plays and stuff like that for the family. And then eventually one thing led to another. And because of just, the natural way that, his job worked, occasionally people would ask for children. And if someone had, a kid that could do something like a short little thing, and he would kind of put my brother and I forward for a few of those things. And then eventually it just kind of snowballed into, getting actual roles and speaking on my own. So yeah, once I pretty much learned how to read, I was doing that.
That's amazing. And you know what they say, you learn from the best.
Yeah.
So, I have right here, actually, I don't know if you remember the show. This is one of Ian James Colette's characters. This is a plush of Funshine Bear.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
I found this recently. I like to thrift shop for different, go thrift shopping and like go to different flea markets and stuff and try to find little toys and stuff from uh different animated shows because I just love animation. I have a passion for animation and voice acting.
That's awesome.
Um, mhm. And what's cool about, let me pick it up here again. What's cool about this toy is it's actually animatronic. It talks, it sings, and I was hoping that it had the voice of your father, but I sent it to him and he was like, "Yep, that's not me." And I'm like, "Ah, that is so disappointing."
Yeah, I know a lot of the times with the toys there's like a totally different I don't even know how they end up doing that. I mean, I've done some sessions for toys before, but it's like one-off toys. It's not like you voice the character and then you also voice the toy. I don't know. They kind of switch stuff like that up sometimes. I'm not sure who does it. But
Hmm. Yeah, it's interesting because I have another example right here. This is another toy I have. This is uh, when you were very young, from the G3 My Little Pony,
oh yeah.
A Very Minty Christmas. This actually has the voice of Tabitha St. Germain, who was
Oh, no
actually
way.
one of my biggest inspirations to get into voice acting.
That's awesome. Well, that's a very good person to look up to. That's for sure.
One of the shows I remember you were in because I used to watch this show religiously, no pun intended, as a kid. You were in 321 Penguins.
Yes.
So, do you have any memories of working on that show? You were, of course, very young, obviously.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot of crystal clear memories, but I do remember enjoying the atmosphere a lot. I think what I remember from that show is we did like the pilot episode and a few, maybe like the first and second episode together with everybody in the room who was cast, and then after that we did, or at least maybe this was because I was a kid, I'm not sure, but at least me and the Quinn who played my brother, we like recorded separately after that. So it was like we had this big group of people, and I met everybody and I was like, cool, this person's this person, whatever, all the little penguins. And then after like a couple episodes we just did solo recording sessions, and I'm starting to think that maybe it was just the kids that they separated so that we could focus better and not have crazy distractions or anything, and we could just get our job done with the director. So we only recorded together a few times, but that was really really fun because I just remember, I don't know, I remember that room being so huge, and I don't even remember where it was. I think, I don't know. I mean, it was in Vancouver, but I don't remember what studio it was even at that time. I just remember that room seeming so big to me at that age.
Yeah. So, I don't know if you knew this, 321 Penguins was done by the same people who made VeggieTales. Did you know that?
Yes.
Yeah, so obviously, it's a little bit of a Christian show, and usually, Christian animation, I'm just gonna be honest, is not very good because there's not much effort put into it. It's very low budget. But this was actually a very good show because obviously the Vancouver cast was amazing. There was you, Quinn Load, you mentioned. I think your father was in a few episodes. Sam Vincent was in an episode. He doesn't
Gary
even remember
Scott,
doing
yeah.
it because I interviewed Sam. He was my first interview on the show.
That's crazy. Yeah, I that's so funny because I don't even think I like really knew him at the time. I know him now, and I know, yeah, I know him now, but I that's so weird. I did not know that.
Yeah, I gotta send you the clip. Obviously, you have my Instagram now. I gotta send you the clip when I get off of here.
Yeah, that's sweet. That's awesome.
And also, I found another clip of you and Andrea Libman was in an episode too.
Oh, no way.
Yeah,
Wow. Yeah. This
and
was
it
way
was
before I was aware, I started to like even be aware of, coworkers and people's names, and yeah, that's crazy.
yeah, it was so adorable because you Andrea Libman also is known for having like the very high voice, and you are also very young at the time. You had the very high voice. It was so cute.
I would love to see that clip because yeah, my memory is very cloudy at that age. But that's
Yeah.
crazy. I'd love to see that. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, as I was saying, yeah, the show had good animation. It didn't like shove the biblical lessons down your throat, obviously, like some of the other Christian cartoons. And it was surprisingly a very good show. And I watched it a lot as a kid, along with VeggieTales.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of good memories with that show. Like I remember the grandmom, as she was called, because she was British.
Yes.
Uh, she would always do her little, virtue things or whatever in the beginning of each episode. And my
That was Ellen, right?
what was the name?
Ellen?
I think so. I can't remember. I need to look it up.
Yeah, that's so nuts. I literally I worked with her also on Dinosaur Train. She
Oh
was my mom
wow.
on Dinosaur Train. So she's
That,
been a part of my family for a long time.
really?
Yeah.
That's so cool. So, anyway, one of the ones I remember was from the first episode. She's like, patience is a virtue. And whenever my sister gets impatient, I always have to pull that 321 Penguins code, be like, patience is a virtue.
That's so good.
Oh my God. So yeah, definitely a good show. It was basically Penguins of Madagascar before Penguins of Madagascar.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Anyway,
Or the
so
Penguin stage.
yeah, yeah, that was at a time when I think penguin, just anything with
Yeah,
yeah, anything with penguins was just very popular at that time.
that's awesome.
Oh. So anyway, you mentioned Dinosaur Train. You were also in that show, and obviously Ian James Corlett was Mr. Conductor in that show.
Yes.
hmm And you voiced your character's name was Tiny, right?
Yes, Tiny Pteranodon.
Okay. And honestly, I didn't really watch Dinosaur Train. That was a little past my time. But I do know it was created by Craig Bartlett, who
Yeah,
created Hey Arnold, which is excellent cartoon. I'm sure you've seen Hey Arnold before.
I have. Yes. He's a genius. Everything he does, I love.
So, do you have any memories of working on Dinosaur Train?
Yes, that part of my memory is not as fuzzy. I think probably to this day that Dinosaur Train, in terms of like voiceover shows to be a part of, there was something very special about that show. I think Craig had a lot to do with that. He
Mhm.
was a really, really good director, especially with kids. And now that I'm an adult, I just think about the dynamic of working with children rather than working with adults, and I think he handled that in a really amazing way where we all still were able to be kids and have like a good time and be friendly and friends with everybody. um I really, really, really like that show. I don't even know if I can pinpoint exactly why, but I think the atmosphere was just really healthy and good. And I mean, what's not to love? There's great catchy songs in it, and there's just I don't know. I learned a lot about dinosaurs, and I started really getting into dinosaurs like while I was on the show. So I think that just kind of naturally aligned with me. I was like, oh, dinosaurs are pretty neat, like I actually was kind of passionate about not just being like a character for it, but also the content of the show itself. And it was something that, I would watch if I was not, just in the process of making it too.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you're right. The songs are very catchy. Because the theme song, whenever I hear it, I cannot get out of my head the
Yeah,
Dinosaur Train, Dinosaur Train.
yeah, it's pretty good.
So okay, so ooh, I thought of another one you were in. I think you were very young when you did this as well. You voiced at one point Sally in one of the Peanuts cartoons,
Yes.
and you that's a very big character. How did it feel at the time, at that age, to be voicing such a large character in the Peanuts universe?
Well, the unfortunate answer to that is I don't think that younger me knew to the extent of the Peanuts universe. I think I had heard of Charlie Brown and I knew like what the character looked like, but I don't think I knew anything about the story or anything. Like I didn't know anything about that at the time. So for me, I was walking in on a clean slate. And which, might not have been the greatest thing for me, but I worked on that. I think there were a bunch of kids that I kind of knew of at the time. And we were all working on that show, and it was pretty much like every person who had a kid that was in the industry or a kid that was just working, by themselves, without parents attached. I had started to kind of get to know some of these kids, and I was like, oh, I recognize this kid from this thing or from this other audition, or just around town. Michelle Krieber obviously being one of those people. um,
Mhm.
and I don't remember a whole lot about that process, but I do remember walking um into the recording room, and there just being like a bunch of kids, and I was like, this is crazy. Like this is really this is really cool. I don't think it was lost on me that Peanuts was like, a known thing. I just didn't know about it. I was like, oh, this is like kind of a big deal, but not like I knew all the information about the Peanuts universe.
hmm And fun fact, the voice of Linus was Quinn
Was
Loade, who
Quinn.
yeah,
Yes.
who also voiced Jason in 321 Penguins.
Yes. That's what I mean by like, you see these faces around and you're like, oh yeah, oh yeah. And I don't know if that show overlapped with Peanuts or if I met him there first or if I met him at with 321 Penguins first. I can't remember the exact timeline there, but one of those was like the introductory meeting and the other one was like, I know this kid. So yeah, it's pretty neat. Small
hmm
town.
All right, so I think now it's time for the big one, okay? You know what's coming up.
Okay.
It's time for Friendship is Magic, which is probably where you're most well known from, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah, so you voiced Sweetie Belle, part of the Cutie Mark Crusaders. You also had Apple Bloom, who was that was Michelle Kreber, obviously.
Yes.
And you had Scootaloo, who was voiced by Madeline Peters. And a question I had before we get to Friendship is Magic.
Yeah.
Uh, Michelle and Madeline were both in another cartoon I watched a lot as a kid, and I wasn't sure if you were in the show. Do you remember
Oh,
Martha Speak?
Martha Speaks. Yeah. My brother was in that show.
Really?
Yeah.
Uh,
I don't think I ever was, but yeah, he was in it for a few episodes. That was one of the other big shows going on at the same time. That's awesome.
And one of the reasons I love that show so much, Martha Speaks, is because, again, Tabitha St. Germain is just amazing. The energy she had in that show,
Yeah.
like the character she voiced, Martha, was just absolutely hilarious in just every single episode.
Yeah, she just brings her A game every time. I don't know how she does it. It's endless, endless energy.
Definitely, definitely. That is definitely when I want to become a voice actor, that's what I want to aspire to be. I want to have that energy in my performances.
Yeah, I saw you were taking some lessons and stuff. How long have you been doing that for?
So, I went to Los Angeles a while ago, and I recorded a demo reel, and I was taking a class, obviously online because after COVID, they don't do anything in person anymore.
Yeah.
Um, and I've been to Los Angeles before. My sister used to live out there for a period of time, uh, and not a big fan of it out there, honestly. Uh,
Where are you based now? Where are you located?
so I'm currently living in Indiana, South Bend, Indiana.
Okay.
Yeah, there's not much here except for Notre Dame, which you might have heard of, might have not. So, you currently live in Los Angeles, right?
I actually live in Arizona, but I go back and forth between LA a lot for work. Um,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
but
Okay. Cool.
I'm kind of with you on that. I don't I I have so much like love in my heart for Los Angeles, but when I think about actually living there and moving to live there, and be based there, I don't love it as much as I thought that I would. I'd much rather go and travel and be there for like a period of time, get a bunch of work done, and like have that mindset and come back. And thankfully, I'm in a position where I'm, blessed enough to be able to do that because I know that that's not, very feasible for everybody. But I really like the position I'm in now where I can work from home from here in Arizona because I have a home studio. And so that I still do. And then sometimes I go into LA for other stuff. So yeah, it's like a nice blend of both.
hmm so you're obviously still doing voice acting, it sounds like.
Yes, not as much, but still, here and there, some stuff.
Okay. Because I thought when you moved over here, you entered a new venture and opened up a store in the mall called Claire's. If you get my joke, you get a cookie.
Ha! Well, give me that cookie because that's where I got my ears pierced.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, I would be scared to get my ears pierced. I want to get a tattoo though, but
What? How are you gonna get a tattoo and not get your ears pierced? That's crazy.
well,
The
I
ears pierced are over in a second. The tattoo,
okay,
you have to keep going.
yeah, because they gotta, do the bzzz, and with the ear pierced, you just do the click.
I was just gonna say, I mean, it depends what size you're gonna get and where you would get it, but I have both. I have two tattoos and four piercings just on my ears. And obviously the ears, you're in and you're out. They do it at the same time most of the time. They pierce it and you're done. The tattoo is you kind of get used to the pain. There are some areas where you're like, ooh, ooh, but then they're they've moved on to the next,
Yeah.
part. So I don't know, but I've also had really small tattoos, so it's not like I'm sitting there for hours in a chair.
So what you need to do, you need to go to your local Cleo store, and tell them, yes, I'm Cleo Colette, and I would like my royalty check, for your name.
Yes, I'm sure that would work out in my favor.
All right. So anyway, getting
Sorry,
back
I
on
totally
track.
got distracted. Yeah, go ahead, go back.
Yeah. So, getting back on track, Friendship is Magic. So,
Yeah,
such a huge show. It took off immediately, and I've had several other guests who were in that show. Do you know
yeah.
who Kiawazani is?
Yes, I don't know if I've met her in person or I just know of her or I briefly met her. I'm not sure. I feel bad now that I answered that way. But
So,
I do know of her.
yeah, she voiced Daring Do. Uh,
Yeah.
Recently, I had her on as a guest.
Is
I
she
had
LA based?
Uh, she lived in LA at one point. She moved from she's back in Vancouver though. Uh,
Oh, okay, okay.
and I had Sam Vincent as well, who of course was
Yes.
the Flim Flam brothers.
Yes, I know Sam.
Yeah, yeah. And anyway, so you voiced, of course, Sweetie Belle, who was part of the Cutie Mark Crusaders. And the show, took off, the whole Brony community and everything. And I discussed with them a little bit, and this is my theory, in my opinion, of why the Brony community, took off.
Okay.
So, the show obviously has a huge emphasis on friendship and everything. And there's many people like myself, who, love animation, who are on the autism spectrum.
Yeah.
Uh, and I think, the show just really, connected with many people on the spectrum because in the world today there are so many mean-spirited, not only just shows but mean-spirited everything in the world today, and I
Yeah.
think the show just really connected with people on the spectrum, and that's my theory of why the Brony community is so huge.
Yeah, I think that that's a pretty accurate theory.
So obviously, do you have any memories you would like to share of working on Friendship is Magic?
Yeah, well so that show, was very unique in a lot of different ways. We obviously, as the show kind of continued into like the third, fourth season, especially, everybody was pretty aware of the fan base that had started.
Mhm.
Um, I at the time had a YouTube channel that I was just kind of, messing around and making little videos for mostly my family and friends and my school and stuff. And I remember getting a bunch of notifications like all at once of subscriber and a comment, subscriber, subscriber, subscriber. And I was like, what the heck is going on? Like, I had, a very, very slow increase of like, I don't know, I might have gotten to like 400 subscribers, maybe not even that much. I think it was maybe like 100. But that quickly increased to about 1,000 in like a few days. And I was like, what is happening? And I like told my parents about it. And we had started to kind of talk amongst the community of voice actors and people on the show. Hey, a lot of people seem to be making comments and stuff, and their usernames had everything to do with My Little Pony. So I was like, this has something to do with My Little Pony, and I don't know what yet because as far as I knew when I was that age, I was fans of things, and I had I don't know, I followed people that I was interested in and actors and stuff, but like voiceover blowing up was very weird to me. I think I just didn't really know what that, meant or what that looked like. But through that process we kind of figured out like, oh yeah, there's been this thing happening online, and people are having conventions now, and like so that started to pick up. And I think just honestly that whole chunk of my life was very interesting. Went through a lot during that period, obviously. I mean, the show started when I was like 9 and it ended when I was like 19, 18, 19. So that's like, 10 years of my life, and childhood and teenagehood, and beginning of young adulthood. So lots of very interesting things happened, and I had a really really fun time traveling to where these conventions were. I don't know if I would have traveled nearly as much if it wasn't for My Little Pony. And I've made friendships and relationships with people that last will last a lifetime. And so I'm super grateful for that. And being able to bond over such a, uh, my best friend, Michelle Kreber, we started off not necessarily being best friends, but kind of friends, and knew each other and worked with each other on a few things. And just through the weirdness and weird experience that My Little Pony was, we've been able to really bond over that and have one of the most unique relationships that I've ever had to this day. So I'm grateful for a lot of things. And yeah, the travel was so cool. Went to so many new places, and out of the country and into Europe, and like it was just a really crazy time that I think well, I know that a lot of young people especially don't have. So I'm super grateful for that.
Hmm. And another good question I had, what was it like balancing, I guess you could say, the famous life with like school and everything?
um well, I'll try and make this answer not as long-winded as my last one, but the fame aspect is a very interesting terminology, because in my school, I went to like a private school, and I had some kids who thought that I'm full of myself, and then I had some other kids who thought that it was really cool, and then I had some other kids in like like younger grades and older grades and stuff who were like, can you get a signature for me? And like I had a very I overall like really great experience. But of course, there when people find out that you're missing class and that you're going not just for My Little Pony but for the other shows and auditions that I had, I would leave, class, and so people would pick up on that. And my teachers were really awesome and really what's the word, I'm accommodating to me. And I was never really the type of student either who like didn't want to be in school. Like I wanted to be in school. So I had a really really lucky environment, especially in my education, that I'm super grateful for. And there are kids who were mean about it, and but there are also kids who were nice about it. And I just tried to focus on the niceness of the kids. And yeah, learned a lot about myself in that time. I think there was some you know natural jealousy that kids have, because they're like, oh well, you're leaving school and I want to leave school, why am I not allowed to leave school? And I'm like, well, the answer is pretty clear. It's like I've got a job, but and I'm not trying to be mean, but it's like, it's kind of, I'm not just leaving to sit at home and play video games. Like I'm going to work, and it's it's pretty weird. Nobody really has a kid that works. That's one of the only industries that allows that. And so it's a unique situation. So I'm not blaming anyone for being confused about that at the time. It's just the way that things work for me. So yeah.
Hmm. That's really fascinating. And so another good question. So My Little Pony Friendship is Magic went on for a very long time, like 10 seasons, I think. Is that right?
Yeah, 10 seasons. Yeah.
Wow, 10 seasons. Okay. So you were on there for 10 seasons. So was there ever a fear of, going through puberty on the show, or like losing, your voice, like they had to like adjust the voice or whatever?
Oh, yeah. Yes. I so I had another, well, Dinosaur Train was happening at the same time, and I felt confident in the atmosphere of the show Dinosaur Train because they had talked about the fact that we know that you kids are going to grow up and we know that your voices are going to change. That was a very natural conversation in the workplace. And the director had always said it's very important to me that we keep the characters who they are. And I don't think at this point, when we were like 5 years in or whatever, that we're, we'll try our best and we'll get as high, for me and the girls, we'll get as high as we can in our voices. But if I don't know if you know, but my brother was also in Dinosaur Train. He was the first buddy, and he lasted I don't know how many years, like 3 or 4 years. Um, and eventually, because the nature of being a boy and your voice changes a lot more than girls, they decided that they needed to recast him, and he was, I think, pretty bummed about that, and I was bummed too because I was like, oh, I want to keep working with my brother. We all bonded at that point in time. But I definitely during even though we knew that it was inevitable, I never felt like scared that I was going to lose the job or the role in Dinosaur Train. Um, but in My Little Pony, I was because I think the stakes were a little bit different. We had a pretty hardcore fan base, and while I might have thought at the time, well, the fans are not going to want us to get recast because they're kind of attached at this point. And I thought that it was safe, to kind of think about that. But then, we had some, I don't know, we had some emails sent to us because it wasn't just, the director or whatever. It was that, uh, Hasbro, we had more people that we had to reach out to. Um, for Dinosaur Train, PBS only had a few concerns, being the higher ups, but they relied on the director and his influence and his, letting him call the shots. And
Mhm.
I don't think it worked really the same way for My Little Pony because every show is different. But for My Little Pony, yeah, there was a period of time where I definitely, we knew our voices were changing and we were worried because this fandom thing had just picked up and we had met people and we were like, are we going to get kicked off the show when we had an email that said that we're all re-auditioning for our own characters? And I don't know if this was also the adults too. I don't know if they got it, but I knew that I did and I knew that Michelle did. So I assumed that it was just for the kids, but I think season 4 moving into season 5 or season 3 moving into season 4, somewhere around there, we were a little scared for a bit because the uh amongst the email of like re-audition for your character, they also kind of prefaced it with, if you say anything about the show, we will not hesitate to fire you, kind of thing. I'm paraphrasing, but they started getting a lot more serious about, talking about the show and whatever. Because at the time, I was used to just going to school and telling people who were interested, like, oh, yeah, I'm working on the show and my character did this and it was kind of funny. And then I would, but then when My Little Pony happened, they had very strict rules about that. And I was like, oh, I guess we actually have to, like, pay attention to this new type of NDA. So, we knew at that point we were on panels and stuff and nobody wanted to get in trouble. So we didn't say a whole lot. But now the show's over. So I guess people can say whatever they want to say now. But, yeah, I'm not like angry about it either, but I definitely, just to reiterate and answer your question,
Yeah.
I definitely was concerned that I would lose the role just for simply, growing.
Hmm.
So yeah.
And so you mentioned that you're very good friends with Michelle. Didn't Michelle also do the singing voice for Sweetie Belle?
She did for the first what was it, like 4 seasons or something, but up until Hearts Strong as Horses. I don't know what season that was. I think it was in season 4. But Hearts Strong as Horses, wait, Hearts as Strong as Horses, that was the first song that I did. So from that point onward, I sang for my own role, and before that, Michelle sang for my role. So yeah.
Okay, all right. And also, I'm curious, do you still talk to Madeline?
I haven't as of late. Yeah, I haven't as of late.
Okay, okay. Because I think she pretty much retired from voice acting.
Yeah, I think the last time that I hung out with her was when I was living in LA, and I had seen an improv show with her, and I kind of just got together with her because I knew she was there. And I think she was really into like animation and stuff like that at the time, so I think she's just kind of focusing on the artistry side, and I assume that's what she's still doing now. But yeah, that's all I really know.
Yeah, I believe she is doing like comics and stuff now, if I'm not mistaken. And she
That's
did
great.
some excellent work. I just gotta throw it out there. I love her work.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Anyway, one other thing I had to bring up. I believe you won an award for like outstanding voice actress, something like that from My Little Pony, didn't you?
Oh, sorry, repeat that.
Didn't you win an award for like outstanding voice actress when you were on Friendship is Magic?
Oh, geez, I don't think so.
Because I'm not sure if this is true because um, tends to lie. But I remember going on Wikipedia, and it says something
Oh,
on
yeah.
there that you won an award for like outstanding voice.
Honestly, it's I have no idea. I would say it's possible, but I don't think I have whatever that award or certificate is. If it's physical, I definitely don't have it. Um,
Okay,
yeah, I don't know. Wikipedia can be interesting. Even IMDb too. People can, I guess, just put stuff on there. I didn't write my own page, so I have no
yeah,
idea what it's
because
on there.
yeah, because this is what I say. So Wikipedia and IMDb, they both have diabetes. They're diagnosed with type 69th diabetics.
Ha! Liabetics, that's funny.
Oh my God. So anyway, uh, let me think. Okay, so did you also do Equestria Goes? I can't remember.
Um, I can't really remember either. I don't think so. Like, I know my character was in that, but I don't think she ever said anything. So probably not.
So I just wanted to bring up Equestria Goes because there's one song. I'm sure you've seen the first movie. There was one song in the first movie that is really catchy. The one that's like, we can work together, helping twilight when the crown. You know that song?
It rings a bell, but I have not seen that video or that movie for a really, really long time.
Oh, so once you look that song up, just a fair warning, it will not leave your head because it is very, very catchy.
Oh man, okay. Yeah. Daniel will do that to you.
Yes, yes. Oh, yeah, Daniel Ingram was incredible. I'm glad you brought him up. Uh, he was also the composer on Martha Speaks too.
Yes. Yeah.
And you ever seen Littlest Pet Shop?
I have, yeah, a bit of it.
Yeah, I love that show too. Again, great cast and everything. Anyway, were there any other cartoons you were in that I'm missing? Uh,
Um, I did some of the there are so many different iterations of Barbie stuff, but there were a few Barbie movies that rolled around in Vancouver. And I got cast as Stacy Roberts, which is like the second youngest girl of the four Barbie sisters. It was there were a few movies like Barbie and her sisters in a ponytail. Maybe it's not ponytail. Horse Adventures, and then there was like a dolphin magic one, and then there was Puppy Road Trip 1 and 2 or something like that. So I did those movies a while ago, and then I think I also did they did like a dubbed version of the British new version of Bob the Builder. Um,
Oh
Not
yes.
the one that we probably grew up watching with the claymation and everything.
Yeah.
But there's like a new animated one. And they wanted to bring it to the States and Canada, but they were like, "Oh, the accents are too hard to like understand, being the British accents." So they kept like one or two of the oh, I'm forgetting her name, but there's an actress that I really love in Downton Abbey. She is one of the leads. I don't know what her character's name is, but she's the female lead in Bob the Builder. And then they recast Bob as like a American, Canadian sounding guy. And that was actually Colin Murdoch, I believe,
Oh wow.
um, who was also my dad in Dinosaur Train. But they recast, like, so we basically just dubbed an English already version of Bob the Builder, and they cast me as Dizzy, which is the little like orange cement truck.
Yep, yep.
So yeah, that was pretty fun though. It was a very like short-lived time period for me, but it was fun. Yeah, they just
Mm,
they wanted to bring it to wider audiences outside of the UK.
that's awesome. I will say the Bob the Builder reboot, the animation is kind of Yeah, I definitely prefer the classic claymation style. I'm sure,
Yeah, I'm used to the first style. I just love claymation too, though. I think it's so pretty.
oh yes, yes. What were some of your favorite cartoons growing up with?
Let's see. Well, for some reason, the first thing coming to my mind is not a TV show, but I was really into Coraline when I was younger. We actually like read the book
Oh,
too, and then when they said that they were gonna have a movie coming out, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be so cool. And it was an incredible, incredible movie. Just because, we were talking about claymation, so that popped into my head. But what other, I don't know. I watched like a lot of shows. I watched like Dragon Tales and there were a bunch of other shows. I watched like Camp Lazlo. Oh, awesome. Yeah. Yeah, Dragon Tales was cool. I watched when we went to the States, my brother and I were really into all the different shows. So we like watched Ben 10, we watched Camp Lazlo, we watched the Foster for Imaginary Friends show, Blue and
yeah.
his, that show.
Yeah,
Um
Nolan Frost worked on that show.
yeah, and then now that I'm an adult, I mean, there's some pretty funny adult animations. I really, really like South Park. I didn't get into it for the longest time, but I love South Park.
South Park, yes, yes, yes. South Park is amazing. My favorite character is probably Randy.
Oh my gosh, Randy is so good. I like Butters too, but I like Randy. Randy's so good.
Oh yeah, here, I can do an impression of Randy. Well,
Yeah,
kind
let's
of.
hear it.
Okay, all right, all right. Well, what do you want me to do, Sharon? I was about to win $20,000.
Yeah, Randy is really, I don't know, his lines of dialogue are so funny to me. He's nuts. I love it.
Mm,
It's like
um,
watching like a train on fire and you're like, well, I can't look away. It's just too interesting.
yeah, they're finally doing a new season, which is
Yeah,
exciting.
I'm a fan of everything that I've seen, which I know I haven't seen everything yet, but everything that Trey Parker and Matt Stone have done, I love.
My sister got me into South Park, by the way, and it's definitely a great show. Uh,
Oh, and Bluey. That was the example that I forgot about. Yeah, sorry. I've seen a lot of Bluey, and I think it's the cutest show ever. It's so sweet.
you have just, oh my gosh, you have a good taste in cartoons, I gotta say.
Thank you.
Do you like Adventure Time? That's one of my favorites.
I can see in the back there. I was actually just gonna ask you about that. I have not seen a whole lot of Adventure Time, but I know that a lot of people have told me to like watch it. There's so many shows that I have on my list, and it's just never high up enough for me to start watching it. But I've heard really, really great things about it. Yeah.
So I'll show you something real quick. This is probably my biggest inspiration along with Tabitha. I have a lot of big inspirations, honestly. But this is like my really big one. Jessica DiChico. This is my autograph from her.
Oh, cool.
She voiced Flame Princess in Adventure Time.
Oh,
Uh,
that's awesome.
and I'm a huge fan of her work. And I'm going to visit her at a convention in Houston in August.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
I'm excited.
That's so cool. That's awesome, Gabe.
hmm Anyway, I'm trying to think. Is there anything else do you want to bring up before we hop off here?
I don't think so, but I just wanted to say that I love the confidence that you have, and I think you're a really good interviewer, and this was a lot of fun. So, yeah.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I just want to say thank you so much for willing to take the time to do this. I know obviously you're very busy, and especially on such short notice, it means a lot because I've always loved your work. You're such an underrated voice actress. And again, you learn from the best because Ian James Corlett is the best as well.
Well, thank you very much. That's very sweet.
And yeah, anyway, we'll go ahead and wrap it up here. Thank you so much for joining us. And I'll definitely stay in touch.
Awesome.
All right. Anyway, have a good day, Claire.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.